Baba and Base. In your absence, we made a little bit of progress, and we started Halacha Zayin, and we're up to Davar Acher, in the middle of Halacha, which is if you count down, okay, Davar Acher. No interpretation as to what happens when you have a lot of the various different, the pasuk it says in Koheles, pasuk about 5 lines up, say achas la'achas limtzol cheshbon, one by one until you make a reckoning. So another interpretation says davar acher achas misare la'achas, one counts up to one, v'cheshbon mismatzeh, eventually the reckoning is filled up. V'kamo mitzvah cheshbon, and the reckoning is actually taken into account. V'kamo mitzvah cheshbon, and how specific, how detailed is the reckoning, ad achas, even unto one. In other words, every single aveira is taken into account. Whatever a person does, ultimately, although it doesn't necessarily come immediately, but eventually when the cheshbon is made, so all aveiros are taken into account, and everything is taken, and of course mitzvahs as well, every minor detail. Right, or whenever that happens, it's everything. It's, nothing is forgotten. Time share Meir. We learned the name Meir. There's a Gemara in the Bavli and Gittin. Here it's in the Yerushalmi, of course, but it's a little bit more detailed here, I think, than the Bavli. Time share Meir. Just like the various different opinions by food and drink, or various different attitudes. So the various different attitudes by men and their wives. Anoshim here means husbands. There's a man, if a fly falls into his cup, he takes out the cup, takes out the fly, the Zorko tosses it, the Shosei, he drinks the rest of his cup. That's normal derech of every human being. He sees his wife schmoozing with her neighbors and with her friends. Okay, not so bad. Even if they're males, not so bad. He's not makbid. Now we're talking about the aberrations. A fly falls on top of his cup, and he takes the cup and he spills it out. And refuses to drink it. That's a bad thing in husbands. In other words, if he's so makbid on his wife that any time she talks to strangers, he gets upset and punishes her, or like the metaphor, throwing out the wine. So obviously she's not saying the garsha. He's obviously looking for an excuse to toss her, to divorce her, just like he tossed out the wine. Okay?
Throw out the baby with the bathwater.
They had the baby with the bathwater, right? Adam zvuv shochin al koso. Sometimes there's a guy who, if a fly comes and rests on his cup, he takes the cup, doesn't throw it out, but he leaves it as is. Okay, before we had a guy who tosses the cup. That's a metaphor for somebody who wants to divorce his wife. Now we have a guy who just leaves the cup intact but doesn't drink it. Zeh, you know what that's like, says the Gemara? Zeh Papus ben Yehuda, that's like Papus, the son of Yehuda. Whenever he went there, he used to lock the door in front of his wife, so she couldn't go outside. So she was, locked in, so she would remain chaste. Armin Lay, so they said, they said, Leis Nehigin Avon Avos Leis Nehigin Avon Avosach Abdin. Your forefathers didn't do this. In other words, what they said to him is, your fathers didn't lock up your mother. So how do you know that your mother didn't go out while your father was gone and be mazada with somebody else, and that you're not actually your father's kid? In other words, your moiti lies on your own self, that if you're so makbid with your wife, then your parents were not, so maybe l'shita schla, you have to assume that you're a mamzer, and that because your mother herself was not locked up.
I don't see the analogy about not doing anything like shiur with the school.
It's like you don't do anything with the wine. He didn't divorce his wife, but he didn't let her go out. In other words, he preserved his wife as she was. You're right. The analogy is not exact. It kind of doesn't hold up at the best.
It's like it didn't do anything like laissez-faire.
No. Right, that's the next one. No, that's the next one. Yesh chod, and then there's another one. A person, zvu meis l'toch koso. If a fly dies in his cup, unotlo, he takes the fly, umotito, and sucks the fly, which will say, and then drinks the cup, because he wants to get the wine out of the fly also. Right? Zeu Russia. That's a for Russia. Shuroyas ish the livo gatsma over there. He sees his wife licentious, free with her male slaves, libogatshim choseh, with her female slaves, for mitzvah aleh legarsha. And mitzvah aleh legarsha, he's commanded to divorce her. Shemar, it says, v'yotzim ibesu, she should leave his house, v'ocho b'eisel ishach, and go and meet another man. Now, continue with these drusha. Once she leaves his house, across of kara acher. The Pasuk calls this woman an acher. He calls the man an acher. Sheino ben zug sharisha. He's not like the first guy. The second guy that marries someone is an acher. Why is an acher? Shuotzi is ishto. The first guy kicked out his wife Mishumera because she was licentious. Va'alon, the second guy Nichshaba, is obviously stumbling in that he's taking the self-same woman. Im zochul l'shamayim, the second guy, if he's meritorious, if he's lucky, Umagarshi divorces her as well. Milav, if not, Sof Shi Kavarto, eventually she will bury him. In other words, he will predecease her. Shemar says, Okiamus Ha'isha Rachron. The last one, the second one, who married this woman, dies. So he was worthy of dying. Because he took this slut, this bad woman, this loose woman, into his house. Period. Shmuel says, Porshimina Mizano. If one knows that a woman is Mizana, so one should stay away from her, not marry her. However, even if she was married to somebody else and had a bad reputation, you don't have to separate from her daughter. Why is that? Because Rabbi Yochanan says, even if a woman was adulterous as somebody's wife, havlonos labal, we still assume that whatever kids she has are from her husband. Why? Because most relations a woman has are with her husband. So therefore the kid is kosher because of the roles. No. Unless we know that the kid is mamzer. We don't concern ourselves with the mamzers. Okay? That's generally the principle. Don't ask, don't tell. Kosav Echoraimer, one pasuk says, Litzvos betzim lipoyerach. When a woman drinks the Sotah waters, first her stomach shrivels and then her thigh falls. Because of Achoraimer, yet another pasuk says the same thing. Litzov sabi navnaf leirecha. First her stomach shrivels and then her thigh falls. Because of Achoraimer, yet another pasuk says, so that the Kohen tells the wife, V'seith Hashem as Yireichech Novelis, when God places your thigh falling, Vesbisnech Tzava, and your stomach shriveling up. So in the first two psukim, first came the stomach. In the last pasuk, first comes the thigh. So it says, so our Mishnah actually has the thigh first. So it says, well, how come? Mikrech Machrish Mikros to the one pasuk which has the thigh first. Our Mishnah is taking over the two psukim which have the stomach first. Why is that? So it says the Gemara, when it comes lemaisa, she, of course, since she drinks the waters, so first the waters affect her stomach and then they affect her thigh. But when he warns her about the thigh first and then about the stomach, because of course with the thigh she committed the Aveira. Okay?
Doesn't the stomach swell also?
What?
Doesn't the stomach blow up?
Does it? I don't remember. Maybe I thought some of them meant shrivel, but maybe you're right. Maybe it means the blows. Maybe you're right. We'll see later in Masechta.
Because it's like simulating pregnancy.
Was that what it is? Is that what it is? Okay, I thought some of it was the shrivel. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, so says Rabbi Yami said, "Few tema kan lemaisa." You'd say both psukim are lemaisa or all the psukim ma'aser kam kan tnoim, all the psukim are to tnoim. It doesn't matter whether they're part of the deed, description of the episode, or part of the description of the condition. What it means to say is the Kohen could say it either way, or it cannot be either way. Which don't take either manner as being the exclusive way. Either way works. Okay? Sometimes first goes the stomach, sometimes first goes the thigh. Okay? So why does it say twice, however? So either sequence could occur. Why does it say twice? Litzbos bottom lan pil yerech. Why are two psukim of that ilk? So it says more. The reason we have two of those psukim is litzbos bottom lan pil yerech. One is leboel. One is for the adulterer. And the other one is for the woman herself. Because we understand that wherever the boel is, wherever the person with whom she had relations is, if she succumbs to Sotah waters, he's also afflicted wherever he is. Okay? Hadas machras. So why is the Mishnah mentioned first the thigh and then the stomach? Because logic dictates that you should mention the thigh first. Because yerech is chila ba'avera tchila. The first the thigh began with avera, and then the stomach. The sharkol guvlo polat. And by the way, I'm sorry, I skipped. And then the stomach will that's why the thigh should be afflicted first, even if it's not necessarily so. And afterwards the stomach, the sharkol guvlo polat, and the rest of the body should not go scot-free. Rabbi Abba prayed to Rabbi Papi, Avulaf Tartar. Rabbi Bavi, the Rabbi, the son of Rabbi Papi, used to finish his drushes on a high note, not on a low note like we discussed until now. He said, "My midas puranus mu'uta." In punishments which are generally less onerous. Erecha loka, she said with one. She's punished with one limb, but the rest of the limbs, all the other limbs are suffering as a result. A person who does a mitzvah and is punished, is rewarded with the limb. How much more so is everybody other limb rewarded? And I think it's also a metaphor for Am Yisrael. In other words, if one person does good, everybody else enjoys the benefit. Okay? Halachas. Shimshon halach achareinav. Shimshon followed his eyes. Nikru plishtim eseinav. That's why the plishtim gouged out his eyes. Avshalom nisnave b'saro. Avshalom took pride in his hair. That's why he was hung by his hair. What does it say? Lefi sheba al esipilak she'aviv. Because he had relations with the 10 concubines of his father, it seems that he took pride in his hair and succumbed to his typhus as a result. And that's why 10 spears were placed in him. Shneimar says, "Vayisuchu asora Yisuvu asora narim nosek Yoav." 10 lads from the arms bearer of Yoav surrounded Avshalom. Ufishagon Avshalom Gnevos Leiv, since he stole 3 thefts. Leiv Aviv, Leiv Basin, Leiv Yisrael, the heart of his father had a basin, and the heart of Abisol. The Filon Nitku Bo, Sholosh Shvatim, that's why 3 staffs or 3 rods were stuck into him. Shemar says, Vayikach Shlosha Shvatim Mekapel, it says Yoav took 3 rods in his hand, Vayikaleim Belev Shalom, and stuck them into the heart of Avshalom.
It's much more meaningful since
this is my novice, you're right. Atani. Rabbi Yomer says the fish tchilas kilkulaso ba'azon. Since he began in Azon to be ruined, leficha kil l'oncho ba'azon. That's why his punished in Azon, and that's where the temple came tumbling down on him. Voksiv doesn't say Shimshon Timnasa. Before he went down to Azon, he married another. That was he married Delilah. And he married another woman, and he married the first one in Timnos. So why is there a punishment to occur in Timnos? So it says, Nachman, Derech Nisuinav. The first Philistine woman he married. He didn't actually. It was Derech Nisuin, so he wasn't held as accountable for that. Okay? One part says Shimshon went down to Timnos. The other part says he nay chamich olet Timnos. By Yehuda and Tamar it says Tamar was told that your father-in-law Yehuda is going up to Timnos. So was Timnos up or was Timnos down? So Rav Amar Timnos shtei Timnosoya. There was two. Timnah and Timnos are not the same place, and there are two Timnayos. Achal Shudai, Achal Shel Shimshon. What was the Timnah mentioned or Timnosa mentioned in by the Ma'aseh of Yehuda, and the other one mentioned the Ma'aseh of Shimshon. Not necessarily the same. Rabbi Simon Omer says no. Timnosa Achasi, it's one Timnah. Lama Kasava Aliyah was say going up and going down. Ella Aidei Ella Shel Yehuda Aidei Shel Shem Shemayim. Since Tamar was the Shem Shemayim, they tried to set up house from Yehuda, so therefore if you see Aliyah, that's why it says going up. So Shimshon Aidei Shel Loy Shel Shem Shemayim, since he was going there because of his own desires, the field cook Siboy Rida. It says she was going down, so it's actually metaphoric. Rabbi Ayu Bar Nagre, he said a different shot. He said it's in the middle of the mountain. Could go on a Beis Mayan, it's like a place called Beis Mayan. Sheyardim von Baltosa, you go down to it from Baltosa. V'oli on Mitveria, you go up to it from Tveria. So you see that it's in the middle of the mountain. So to Timna, depending what the direction you came from, it's either going up or going down. I can't know for you. Says the Gemara, Vayavo kamnei Timnosa. Ksiva, I'm sorry, it's script word, but Ksiva Vayavo kamnei Timnosa says they came to the vineyards of Timnos. Omar Shoyitza Melamechu Avivimo Marimo Karmei Timnosa. The seed as his father and mother showed in the vineyards of Timnosa, Zruim Kilaim, that they were all sown with Kilaim. Ramil, and they said, Bani, Keshen Shekarmei, Zorin Kilaim, just like their vineyards are full of Kilaim, of mixed breeds. Kach V'noseim Zuz Kilaim. So their daughters are mixed breeds. They have all sorts of psuli mixed into them. Now, of course, they were trying to dissuade him from intermarriage. But in fact, any relationships that the Goy has terminates on his conversion, his or her conversion. Right? So if they were trying to convince him it's very bad for you to have consort with this woman, but it's really not halachic. Halachically, it's not so bad. Because the assumption is that she's going to convert, and therefore she's going to lose all her status as a goy with all the mamzer stuff, and therefore what's so terrible about it? But they were trying to convince him that it's a bad thing, morally, ethically.
She had no intention to.
What?
She had no intention to.
The first one did, it seems. It was a vow of marriage. Delilah didn't convert, but the first married wife, whose name is not recorded, seems to did convert. I don't get it. Certain places in Tanakh it says don't marry them. How come Shimon went to marry this? Shimshon went to marry this woman. Rabbi Yavin said, Amra Yavin said, Les or Shiva Amami. It says that the 7 nations are also. And yet Shimshon is being compelled to marry this woman? How could this possibly be? It's very derogatory. It said, when dealing with frivolous people, which are Rishoyim, so then the Kodesh Baruch Hu plays pranks on them. What's the prank here? He got Shaul to destroy the Plishtim by marrying the Plishtim. Because that was the first cause to the eventual downfall of the Plishtim. So it says, there's another verse says, Yoshev Shamayim Yitzchak. Kosh Baruch Hu laughs. What's Kosh Baruch Hu's last laugh here? That the Mitzrayim thought they were going to fight Moshe successfully, but it turns out that Moshe successfully fought them with their own tools. Okay? Their own tools meaning that what was their example?
Yamsuf killed the Mitzrayim.
Yeah.
They used water to kill them.
Right. And here was the Plishtim marrying the Plishtim in order to save the Am Yisrael from the Plishtim. Okay. See if it says, V'atocha ruach Hashem l'fa'amo I wonder where Miriam against he didn't say anything about not being here tonight, not to be at least. Even late to be olit. Came in, Ksiv says, sorry. V'atocha ruach Hashem l'fa'amo the Spirit of God started being poem him. B'machaneh Don, in the camp of Don. Ben Tzara Ben Eshto. What's that? Trade Amorim. Two Amorim argue the meaning of this puzzle. Chadara once says, B'shosha Ruach Kodesh Shorah, when the divine presence rested upon him, Hayub Sioso Kimitzar Mishto, he was able, then, his he could walk, I guess, one stride from Torah to Eshto because he was so shimshon. Right. The Quran, the other says, "B'shah shoyis ruach kodesh shora alav, the ruach kodesh rested upon him. Hayu sarosa mekishos kizug, so his hair would ring like a bell. The kol anolech." And would be able to hear a voice at a distance as if it was from Tzara to Eshto. Okay? So something miraculous occurred to Shimshon at that point. And Hashem blessed him. Rav Huna b'Shem Raya said, even though he was pretty big, Shimshon, nevertheless he had relations like everybody else. However, that's not the nates, according to Bnei Moshe, is not they had relations like everybody else, rather that, how should I put this? That even though he had relations with everybody, even though he had relations like everybody else, but a special bracha, Bnei Moshe says in his zera, that he had a lot of zera. So that was his bracha, okay? So says more. So the bracha was either that he had, even though he was outsized, his aver wasn't outsized. That's a bracha because he was able to have relations with normal women. Or his bracha was not outside, his aver was not outside, but he had more zera, and that's the bracha. Okay. It's hot. I came, the window was open, I closed it. If you get too cold, let me know. Right before he was killed, Shimshon asked, let me have the revenge of one of my eyes from the Philistines. He brought in Shalom, Tainli Schar, Ene Achas Bolam, as I give him the reward from one eye in this world, the Schar Ene Achas Muzukesi Lasi Level, and leave me one eye in the world to come. Now, Kosev Echad, one pasuk says, Vayishpot is Yisrael Arboim Shana. It says Shimshon ruled over Am Yisrael for 40 years. Because another pasuk says, Vushav Yisrael Chav Shana. He only ruled for 20 years. How do we reconcile two pasukim? Rabbi Yach said, really only reigned for 20 years. The Philistines were afraid of him. 20 years after his death. Like they're afraid of him 20 years during his lifetime. So the residual fear kept the Plishtim a year away for 20 years after his death. That's like 40 years. Now the interesting is there's no puzzle which says that Shimon was ruler for 40 years. No such puzzle. So what does it mean that there was a puzzle like that? So I think the pshat is that we know when they came from the Golos, they brought two versions of the same, but several versions of the Navi with them. So probably the Gemara knew that they had been confronted, whoever redacted the Tanakh, with one version which said 20 years, and another version which said 40 years. So he took the version that said 20 years, and how did they miyashiv it? By saying that
20 while he was alive and 20
right. That's not really the point.
My Gemara has a chuf sofis.
Yeah, I have a chuf sofis also. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what to make of that. I don't know exactly. Avshalom Nistava Besora. Avshalom took pride in his hair. It was like a big carob tree is here. It says Rayochel Kikidon was straight up like a spear, which will explain why he got caught in the tree, right, in a natural way. Right. Says Mar, no. Really, the getting caught in the tree was a nace. Because the way he made his his hair is like the Yediv Shem said, Badim Bino, so it was made flat down in various different bunches. So the fact that he got caught in the tree was a big nace in order to punish him. Cornrows. So let's go further. Rabbi Chanina, Amar Yechidachia said, Katzlikis Loacha. When they came to Eretz Yisrael, there was the Shvach of Eretz Yisrael, praise of Eretz Yisrael. When they came to Eretz Yisrael, Nasvis a Zoyra, the debris. I took my son's belt, the Beizor the Chamri, my donkey's belt, Umakva Kurs Charavisa, in order to try and make a circumference around a log or a stump of a charav tree. Below what's my place? The Makro course of the Chavisa around the stump of a carob tree died the soul in Eretz Yisrael. Below Matun, it would not reach around because the carob tree was so huge that even though he put out his own belt and his son's belt, it still wasn't able to circumnavigate the tree. Okay, so it's very large. Right. Rabbi Yochanan said. Sorry. I'm sorry, I skipped a couple words. The katis char charuf, and I cut one carob. The naga malay yodei dvash, and my hand flowed with honey from the carob, which doesn't happen that much with Buxer anymore. Okay, Rabbi says that Lemaisa, there's been a Yeridas Ados, there's been a diminution of the generations, not just in scholarship, but also in the fruit available. The last fruit of the season, which we ate in our youth, is mi panker sweet. It's better than the first fruit, that we eat in our old age, because the taste of the fruit, its quality is go down. The Biyamai, would say this, the Biyamai Ishtanoi Alma. In his lifetime, the world had become lower. Right. Part of the diminution. Initially, if you had a saw of grain from Arbel, Latia saw solus, you get out of it a measure of fine grain, saw kemach, a measure of coarse grain, saw kiba, a measure of even coarser grain, saw subin, a measure of even coarser grain, saw bursan, a measure of even more coarser grain. Which of several of these last ones used only to feed animals. So in any event, So the word says that was at the time they did all these things out of one measure of harvested grain. Yet nowadays Kedon, nowadays Kibar. I'm sorry. Afilu Chadam Chadam Lo Kaim. You take one saw of flour or of wheat, grain, you can't make it into 5 saw with all these byproducts which the word describes here. We're stuck. So we see here, of course, you read it to Doros. Says more further. Ksibav Shalom. Says Shalom Loya Ish. It's very strange Gemara. Loya Ish Yafeh B'Chol Yisrael. There was nobody as pretty as handsome of Am Yisrael. Lahalamod was very praiseworthy. Yochel B'Chol, was he praiseworthy in everything? No, he was a midget. I mean, not literally midget, but that's what it says. Talmud says, Yikafra Glovar Kodo. From his foot to his head, Loya Bo Mum, there was no mum. But he had mum that he wasn't too tall. That's what it says.
Makes that his hair got caught in the tree.
That's right. Let's just read the next one. See what it says by Shol, below Haya Ben, you had a son, Kish had a Ben, which Shmuel Shol's name was Shol Bocher V'Tov, a young man and fine. Then Ish Yisrael, there's no Am Yisrael better than him. Now here it says, Mar Yochel Bakos and everything. Talmud no. B'Shichmo Omalo Gabon Mikol Adam. For his shoulders and height, he was taller than everybody. Meaning, he wasn't too pretty. He wasn't too handsome, he was just very tall. The Jews speak of darshan this a lot, as you realize, right? Sam Shalom was so handsome but not tall, because he didn't have that connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? He wasn't connected. Right? He was so nauseous. He meant good, but he wasn't connected. And shows the exact opposite. He was connected. But he didn't have the outward strength and demeanor to conduct himself as a king, which is why he lost the kingship. Okay? Says more further. But by Avner was killed by Yoav. What did it say? Hello, Tedu, you should know it says when he died. A great officer and major individual died today in Anderson. Says the Gemara. Why was Avner killed? They all voiced opinions. Shimon Levi said, they had some war games in which the people from Shaul's camp and David's camp fought. So it made the blood of the children, who actually many of them died, to be for naught. Like it says, let the lads get up, and let them play in front of us. War games. The reason why Avner was killed is because he put his name in a letter before David's name. But don't see that which it says, Avner sent messengers, El David Tachtov. And David was underneath it. Lay more to say, Lemi Aretz, to whom this land belong. Simin Avner le David. It says, from Avner to David, a letter. It should have said, Le David Michtav me Avner. He should have put his own name first. But it's like Murray B'Malchus. Rabban say, why did you punish us? And he despised me, David. He didn't allow, there's a whole drasha here, down the bottom of Marech Sorach, but he didn't allow to try and change Yerushalmi a little bit. It's not so necessary. It was not sufficiently deferent to David HaMelech. Rabban says Shlomo despised David. He didn't actually ask and appease David. Although is that what it says? V'av v'avi re'ei gam re'ei. This is what happened was that Shaul fell to a deep sleep one night, and David slept into his camp and stole his sword, his spear, and his water jug, and the clothing of some of the clothing of his coat. Remember that? So,
Let him know that he was there. He could have killed Joe.
right. So, it's not clear, but Shaul didn't let it get. Abner didn't let it get away with this. No, he gave it back. He gave it back. David gave back whatever he stole. They didn't keep anything. He's not that I remember. Maybe he kept the memento. I don't remember if he kept the memento. He was stuck in the ground when he took it. Stuck in the ground next to Shaul's head when he took it. How they return to that location necessarily. All right. So in any event, he says, although see the Torah says, "Anochi ro'o gam ro'o," I saw as knap milecha biyodi. The show says, "I saw the corner of my garment in your hands." Amalei. So he was about to make pieces with David because he saw David really didn't want to kill him. Amalei. So this fellow said, "Who's the point guard we're talking about here?" I mean, what? It's Abner, right? Abner said to him, "My boy, what do you want?" It says mean Gilgoy, but I think it's supposed to mean Liglug. Liglug is mockery. Liglug Hadain. What do you want from this mockery? In other words, this is trying to disturb you. Basiro Arta. The reason why you lost the corner of your garment is because you hit a thorn. And David happened to find the garment on the thorn. The Cave Shabola Mago, once they got to the once they got to the circle, I'm not sure exactly what happened there, but then David showed him the water jug and the spear which he'd taken captive. Amar Lo, so then he said to Yanai, Alo Tana. Yeah, once they got to the circle, they saw that the pitcher, whatever he took, the jug, and the spear were taken. So you can't say it got stuck in the thorn. That's when Shaul said, "Mataneh, alo taneh avner." Would you have any response to this? Okay. Now, and this continues. More continues. Gabi kanov, amarta b'siro. By the corner of the garment, you can say it happened on the thorn. Chonis, the chonis, the spear, the tapachas, and the bow. B'siro arto. You think it came about through a thorn? Israel, some say another reason why Shaul was punished is by Avner was punished was Ayidei Shoyzel Olimchos beyond Olimchos Benovi Akanim should protest Shaul's slaughter of Nova city of Kwanim below Michoy. He did not protest, and that's why he was saved. Okay, Rafisha Gana Shaul's Gnebus. This is of course in the talking about the various different types of Gnebus which a person does, but not Gnevos in the classical sense. We're talking about Gnevos vis-a-vis the swaying public opinion. So what did he say? How did Avshalom sway public opinion? He attacked Lev Aviv, his father's heart. The Lev based in the heart of Basin, but Lev Andrew is still in the heart of the people of Israel. Lev Aviv, the Stephen says, this is actually a parenthetical remark. It says here that Avshalom rebelled at the end of 40 years. It wasn't the end of 40 years. Right, though he was dead. Right? In 40 years. He had finished his term. So, so he came in 40 years. And you're saying that that after 40 years they rebelled? El B'Shah Sheshol Yisrael Melech. From the time that Am Yisrael requested a king, it was 40 years. Which means it was 3 years, at least 3 years before the end of the reign of David. Okay? Kineder Adar Avdecha. You don't mind, I'll stand. Kineder Adar Avdecha. Avshalom, when he wanted to trick David, he said, I took an oath. Right, that's what's important though. He says, Umad boy kadon. David said, what do you want to do by your oath? Do you want to go somewhere and fulfill something? So he said, yeah. Armalani, he said also, Avshalom said, this is a critical part. Sov chad petak, write a note. The train guard would me that I can requisition 2 people to go with me. Armalani, so he said, David said, I'm morally the man point. So you want me to write the note too? Well, I'm going to write it. Armalani said, Avshalom was smart, and David obviously was not doing too well in his old age. Armalani said, stop. Write it generically without writing a name. But I'll give it to wherever I want. Because they stopped, so David wrote for him a generic pass of this sort. Say train, guvrin. So he kept showing it to 2 people after 2 people after 2 people, claiming that David HaMelech had sent it to them. The tzama say until he got it to give Mosayin Guvrin 200 people. So he was very successful in this drawing. Although see, that's what it says. There's some Sholem Mahochu. With Avshalom there went Mosayim Ish, 200 people from Yerushalmi, who came to Yerushalmi. Kruim, they were called by Avshalom's pass. V'olchilu Tumar, going innocently in law. Kruim meet David. Now, why say Kruim ve'olchim, 2 separate things? Because they were called by David. Not that they were literally called by David, but David will use this note written by David, right? Kruim meet David. Well, it doesn't say that here. Oh, sorry. David, they were called by David. They went instantly to Avshalom. They didn't know Avshalom had a plot. Achitoph was a co-conspirator. They didn't know the counsel of Achitoph. Once they saw what was going on, literally the words, and they wanted to change their stance. They understood they were in the wrong position. Let's fall in the hands of David. Don't let David fall into our hands. Right, because they really didn't mean to be bad. If we fall into the hands of David, and let mercy on us and leave us alone. So David says, but David Shalom Nafshi, my soul is redeemed in peace, Mikravli, from going to battle, because public relations were with me. Lay Basin, and then when he sealed the heart of Basin, says, Avshalom said to the court, who's going to make me a judge in the land? So we see he wanted to be a judge. So he deluded the Basin into thinking that he should be appointed to a judgeship. And Avshalom did as this. Lay actually saw in the heart of the people of Israel. How we know he stole their hearts? Because it says, by no Avshalom is Slavav Anshe Yisrael, he actually stole the hearts of the people of Israel, so it's explicit. Okay? Says Mishnah first. The Chain Le'inyan HaToiva, so too, as we said before, in terms of good, the meaning of Hashem works as well. Miriam Itil Moshe Shoachas. Miriam waited for Moshe 1 hour. Why? By the bulrushes. Shneimar, it says, assuming this to see what happened to him among the bulrushes. That's all Abraham waited for 7 days by Midbar in the desert until its Saras was clear. Shneimar, it says, the nation now traveled to Miriam was collected into the camp, which was 7 days later. Okay? That goes a little bit of a strange Gemara. This pasuk is speaking not just about mundane matters, but also about the concept of nevuah. This pasuk about what's her name standing there, Miriam, standing there and watching to see what would happen with the little boat. It says his sister stood. We take that as illusion. Your racy as Hashem, racy Hashem, I saw Kodesh Baruch Hu. Yitzhak is back standing on his back. It says Achoso. It says his sister was watching. There's a metaphor. Tell sister wisdom you are. It is my sister. Distance. That's a metaphor for or illusion. The Hashem from distance Hashem is perceived to me. She wanted what was going on. This illusion to King Molar and stay as Hashem. The land be full of now awareness of Kodesh Baruch Hu. She wanted what's going on to Moshe. Hashem does not do anything unless you reveal the secret to his servants, the Nabim. So it's so puzzling about Miriam standing. I don't know why it's like Chassid Shavuot. We as if it's talking about Ruach HaKodesh on Nebuah, not with the Pashim Shah. Very strange. Okay, I know it doesn't bother you. I'm not going to lose any sleep either.
It's rare for Yerushalmi.
But it's certainly rare for the Gemara. Yeah, sure. It says Mishnah further. Yosef Zochali Korasaviv. Yosef married to burying his father. There's no greater one than him. So he could have given to me and Levis. Could have given to the cemetery workers. Right? And why do you have to bury his father? Shemot says, it always bothers me because in Chicago they always have this contraption. When they bury somebody, it goes down automatic. And it's by machine. So Yosef's man actually buried his father. There was nobody greater than him, right? Yosef went up to bury his father. Milan Golem Yosef, who's had a greater reward than Yosef. Midah, as said previously, Moshe took his bones out of Mitzrayim. Moshe Zocha Batzmos Yosef. He married the both of Yosef and Yisrael Golem man those bones greater than Moshe. Shemaykach Moshe Satzmos Yosef Imo. Milanu Golem Moshe. So what was Moshe's word? Shloni Satzig Boil HaKodesh Baruch Hu. Hashem buried him. Shnem Arveik Baruch. So Hashem buried Moshe Rabbeinu Bagai in the valley Mubeis Bor Bagomer. It says to mention a little promise. The law of Moshe Bilvad Amru. Not just Moshe has this haftacha that Hashem will bury it. Elam Chol Tzadikim. All Tzadikim Hashem gets his present Levaya and he participates in burying. Shema says, your charity will go before you. Ukvod Hashem and the honor of Kodesh Baruch Hu will gather you into it. It said, that the honor of a camp of angels going up with them. Cheolami means the chayos and ufanim, means the life of the world literally, but here means malachim. Because who went up, just like it says, when Yaakov went to Eretz Yisrael, malachim came and met him. When he left Eretz Yisrael, the malachim had to change the guards. So malachim came up with Yaakov also to be buried. Okay? So, Ksiv, it says, by Vokornatzah, they came to the silo of the thorns. Cheish Gordon, is their silo for thorns. On Rabbi Shmuel Bar Nachman said, Chizanu b'chol we looked through the entire Tanakh. V'otzinu makom sheshmo Atar. Anyway, we didn't find a place which had the name Atar, which means thorn. Elamau Atar, so what does it mean thorns? Ela Knanim, the Knanim, so you really Deutsch Batar, they should have been beaten by thorns. But they were showing, why would they grant temporary respite? Because the merit of they seeing, there's other B'Gornatan. This morning in Gornatan, and reciprocating, responding in kind. What did the Goyim do? To show their respect for Yaakov. The Lesmer is very material, they undid their belts. It says by belt and Pagarto, why is there so Bikvura, right? Hashem girds the loins of Am Yisrael with Kavura, with strength. So they undid the Kartels to show that the Gvura of Hashem, of Am Yisrael, which is Yaakov, was nifter, right? Or, another interpretation, they undid one of their shoulders and laid one of their shoulders bare, which is a sign of mourning in the old days. Or when they saw Yaakov come by, Yaakov's coffin come by, they all stood up. So that was also mine. Herod Be'etzma, they pointed and said, Brahma said, Evel Kaved Zeh L'Mitzrayim. This is a heavy mourning from Mitzrayim. Torah Tmima says, wherever it says Zeh, in Tanakh, it means, some chiddush that you have to actually point it to something like that. Okay? I don't know. Anyway, it says more further. Umayim elu shlosu chesed. Yeah, Hashem pointed. He's one of the Torah Matzah zeh, Mamor zeh, Vavur zeh. He has a bunch of rights on that.
Teaching is Moshe said.
What's that?
Wants to go out of Egypt, so teaching is
I don't remember. Anyway, it says these Kanaim shlo chesed lo b'dem ragleim. They used their hands or feet to do chesed, which they didn't do direct chesed to Yaakov. Nevertheless, Ruma Porla Kosh Baruch Hu Am Yisrael gained a great schar. Yisrael she'noisim chesed b'dem ragleim and do chesed with their hands and feet. Im gdolim with great people and claim and small people house kama b'kama. Amrei Varvo said, Kolos T'kshivi Yom Sheben Igros L'Igros. The Am Yisrael waited 70 days between sending letters to the Canaanim when they were about to enter Eretz Yisrael, that they should vacate the premises. So they waited 70 days. Why 70 days? Keneged, corresponding, it's a schar. Shivi Yom Shasu Mitzvim Chesim Avinu Yaakov. The 70 days that Yaakov was the Bnei Yisrael, that the Egyptians did a chesed with Yaakov and granted him period of mourning, right? They granted him in mourning. Stephen says, "Vaykonein David es akino azos v'gomer." David said this kino, this lamentation when Shaul died. Berman said, "La'meilu b'nei Yehuda Keshes," teaching the children of Yehuda archery. Says more lomi stabrodah elami the bnei Yehuda. It's more message kino. Should teach him archery. Should teach him the art of lamentation. He's lamenting Shaul's death. Mihoya. So what was going on there? It should be like my hoya. So what was going on? Elomar David said a very distinct thing. He said, "Kavan shad tzadikim mistalkim." Once tzadikim die, hasoynim boy miskarim. So the enemies come and fight against the Jewish people. So if it's time to teach the Jews how to protect themselves. Haloik Sulo Sefer Shar, it says that the art of battle is written on a Sefer Yoshua. Straight Amoraim. Two Amoraim. Chadamar is the Sefer Beishas, afraid to Sefer Beishas. Chadamar, the other says this is Chumash Bikuns, Bamidwar. Manamar Sefer Beishas, Nicho, a lot of battles, Sefer Beishas. Manamar Chumash Bikunim, Bamidwar, Manamar Chomoy Tzasham. What war is there? Uvnei Son, thus I'll tell you. It's a little bit long. Bnei Sol Nasa Beiros, Bnei Akon Moseira. Moseira, Bnei Akon Moseira. Shom Meis Aaron, that's where Aaron died. Moseira, Meis Aaron, he died there. Valo Ba'or Meis. He died in Or. The Dov Sivat says, Vayal wrote, HaKoyin El Or Vayom Hasham, he died there. El Kemesh Meis Aaron, but rather once Aaron died, the Stalkon on the cover, the clouds of glory went away. Ubiksho Kananim is Garas Biso, and the Kananim wanted to fight the Jews, and they did. Although the Ksiv Ashmak Nani Mel Charod Yoshev Negev, he heard Kiboy so that the Jews are coming Derech HaSorim. What's Derech HaSorim? My Derech HaSorim, it means through the sights. Shama Shemetz Aaron HaTayer HaGodol. You heard that Aaron died, the great Tyre, the great leader, tourist leader, Shelohen of them, Shatalam Esterech through it, through the Anani HaKavod, found them the way. So he said, Boom this garbem, let's go fight against them. So I'm just wanted to go back to Mitzrayim. So they went back 8 trips. And Shevet Levi went after them. And killed 8 families of them. So they actually waged war against the Canaanim and among themselves. So that's Kosovo of Sefer Yosher. So we'll finish this tomorrow, how this war.